Around 800 AD, a family in Scandinavia was solving 5 specific residential problems simultaneously. With one building, no architect, no building permit, no structural engineer. Just an understanding of how people actually live, how heat moves, how sound travels, how a family needs to be together and apart at the same time. Built into a structure so precisely calibrated to those needs that versions of it were used continuously for 500 years. The Viking Longhouse. And when you apply its 5 core principles to a modern steel frame barndominium, you solve 5 problems that barndominium owners are paying $20,000 to $60,000 to fix after the fact. By building the right thing the first time. Here's all 5. If you want the ancient building intelligence applied to modern alternative construction, subscribe to Barndominium Haven right now. Hit the bell. Stay till the cost section, because the Viking Longhouse principle applied to a barndominium doesn't cost more than a standard build. In several ways, it costs less. Let's get into it. Quick historical grounding before we get into the 5 problems. Because the Longhouse wasn't a primitive structure. It was a purpose-engineered residential building, optimized for a specific climate, a specific social structure, and a specific relationship between the people inside it and the work they did. The Viking Longhouse, typically 15 to 25 meters long, 5 to 7 meters wide, was a single-space structure with a central hearth, a slightly raised sleeping platform along both long walls, and a bowed or slightly curved exterior wall profile that gave it structural stability against the North Atlantic wind. The animals lived at one end, the family at the other, the hearth at the center. Sounds primitive, but every one of those decisions, the central hearth, the raised platforms, the bowed walls, the animal-human cohabitation, was solving a specific problem with architectural precision. And 5 of those solutions apply directly to barndominium construction in 2026. Here's the first modern problem. Most barndominium owners want thermal mass, the ability of the building to absorb heat during the day and release it slowly at night, without the cost of building a concrete or rammed earth structure that delivers it. The Viking Longhouse solved this with the central hearth, not the fire itself. The stone or clay hearth platform surrounding it, which absorbed heat during burning hours and radiated it back into the space through the night. The Longhouse principle, applied to a modern barndominium, is a central thermal mass element positioned at the building's geometric center, not a fireplace pushed to a wall, a central masonry core, a soapstone wood stove, a masonry heater, a thermal mass fireplace, positioned at the center of the floor plan, where it radiates heat in all directions simultaneously, rather than in one direction toward an adjacent wall. A central masonry heater in a 1,400 square foot barndominium, positioned at the exact center, can maintain interior temperatures overnight from a single 2-hour burn. The thermal mass of the heater, soapstone, fire brick, tile, absorbs the fire's heat during the burn and releases it slowly for 12 to 18 hours after. Cost of a central masonry heater, $4,500 to $9,000 installed. Annual firewood cost to heat a well-insulated 1,400 square foot barndominium in a cold climate, approximately $300 to $600, versus $1,800 to $3,000 in propane or electric heating. The Vikings solved this with stones and clay. We solve it with soapstone and fire brick. Same principle. Dramatically lower operating cost. Here's the second problem. Every barndominium owner wants an open plan, and most of them build an open plan and then discover that an open plan without organizational logic is just a large room that's hard to heat, hard to acoustically manage, and difficult to live in as more than one person with more than one schedule. The Viking Longhouse had an open plan, but it wasn't an undifferentiated open plan. It was organized along its long axis into functional zones, by the raised sleeping platforms along both walls, by the change in floor level, by the central hearth as the organizing element that every zone oriented toward. The Longhouse principle, applied to a barndominium, is a long floor plan, organized along its axis into functional zones that are defined by level changes, material changes, and ceiling height variations, not by walls. Social zone at the center, anchored by the central hearth. Private zones at the ends, slightly raised or materially differentiated from the social zone. Circulation along the long walls, the path between zones running at the building's perimeter, not through its center. The center stays social. The perimeter moves people. That's the Longhouse. That's also the most livable open-plan barndominium I've ever designed. The third problem. Barndominium owners consistently want a space that functions as a workshop, a studio, a utility zone, and also as an overflow living space, a guest zone, a flex room. The Viking Longhouse solved this by integrating the animal quarters at one end of the building in a way that, when the animals were out in summer, became a fully functional additional living space with its own separate entry and its own thermal zone. The space changed function seasonally. The Longhouse principle, applied to a barndominium, is a dedicated flex zone at one end of the building with its own exterior entry, its own mechanical zone, its own finish specification, designed from day one to serve two functions: workshop or utility zone when the primary function demands it, guest suite or overflow living when it doesn't. The design specifics that make this work: a utility sink that's also a kitchenette sink depending on how you're using the space, a polished concrete floor that works for workshop use and looks intentional as a living floor, a separate HVAC zone that can be turned off when the space isn't being used as conditioned space, and a wide exterior door, not a roll-up door, a full 36 to 42-inch swing door that reads as residential on the exterior, but provides clearance for equipment. The Longhouse end bay, the modern barndominium flex zone, same logic. The fourth problem. Open-plan barndominiums have an acoustic problem that's genuinely underestimated until you're living in one. A 1,400 square foot clear-span steel building is essentially a large reverberant chamber. Hard surfaces everywhere, concrete floor, steel walls, metal roof, and no interior partitions to break up the sound field. The result? Every sound in the building is everyone's sound. The partner who goes to bed at 10 p.m. and the one who wants to watch television until midnight, in a standard open-plan barndominium, have an acoustic problem that no amount of careful tiptoeing or considerate behavior fully solves. The Viking Longhouse solved this with the raised sleeping platforms. The 6-inch to 12-inch elevation change between the sleeping platform and the central floor created a subtle but real acoustic separation between the social zone and the sleeping zone. Sound at the raised level traveled differently than sound at the floor level. The transition, even without a wall, provided a zone change that the occupants felt acoustically. The Longhouse principle, applied to a barndominium, is a raised sleeping zone at one end of the building, 6 to 12 inches above the main floor level, with a ceiling that drops slightly as you transition to the raised zone, creating two acoustic conditions within the same open plan. The drop ceiling over the sleeping zone, even if only to 9 feet from the main zone's 12 feet, reduces the reverberant volume of the sleeping area, making it acoustically quieter and more intimate than the social space below. No walls, no doors, just a step and a ceiling change. The fifth problem. Most barndominiums have a bad entry. Not a bad door, a bad entry sequence. You walk from the exterior, where you've been doing outdoor work, muddy boots, wet gear, directly into the living space. No transition, no decompression, no moment of arrival. The Viking Longhouse had an entry sequence that modern architecture has repeatedly tried to rediscover. The entrance to a longhouse was through a vestibule, a small enclosed space between the exterior door and the main living area. Not for thermal reasons primarily, for social reasons. The vestibule was where you transitioned from the outside world to the inside world, where you removed your outdoor gear, where you took a breath, where the household heard you arriving before you were in their space. The longhouse principle, applied to a barndominium, is a real entry vestibule, not a 3-foot deep landing. A room, 8 by 10 feet minimum, bench for removing boots, hooks for work gear, utility sink for washing hands before entering the kitchen, a second interior door that creates an airlock, thermal buffer in cold climates, insect barrier in warm ones. That entry vestibule, $8,000 to $14,000 to build, changes the daily experience of the building more profoundly than almost any other $8,000 to $14,000 you'll spend on the build. It makes arrival feel like arrival, not like walking from one room into another. My favorite feature, the raised sleeping platform with built-in storage beneath. Here's why. In a barndominium, where every square foot costs $120 to $185 to build, storage space that doesn't consume additional conditioned square footage is genuinely valuable. A raised sleeping platform, 12 inches above the main floor, creates 12 inches of height across the full footprint of the sleeping zone. In a sleeping zone of 20 by 14 feet, that's 280 cubic feet of storage space beneath the platform, accessed through hinged floor panels or drawers built into the platform's sides. Not closet space, not a separate room, not conditioned square footage dedicated to storage. The structural consequence of a design decision that was made for acoustic reasons, delivering storage for free. That's the kind of architectural efficiency that makes me genuinely happy. The mistake, making the building too wide. The Viking Longhouse was narrow, 5 to 7 meters, roughly 16 to 23 feet. That narrowness was not a limitation. It was the design. A narrow, long building has a single primary axis. Every zone along that axis is oriented consistently. You always know which way you're going. The building has a direction. The spatial sequence is linear and clear. When you widen the longhouse principle to 40 feet, trying to get more square footage, you break the axial clarity. The building no longer has a direction. It has a direction and a perpendicular. The zones compete. The circulation doesn't know where to go. The acoustic separation of the raised sleeping platform is undermined because the social zone is now so wide that it wraps around the sleeping zone instead of leading to it. Keep the longhouse narrow. 24 feet wide maximum, 20 feet preferred. Get your square footage by going longer, not wider. A 20 by 70 foot barndominium is a better longhouse than a 40 by 35 foot building of the same floor area. Length is the longhouse. Width destroys it. Real numbers, 2026 mid-cost markets. Viking Longhouse Barndominium, 20 feet wide, 60 feet long, 1,200 square feet. Central masonry heater, raised sleeping platform at one end, flex zone with separate entry at other end. Real entry vestibule, open plan social zone at center. Steel kit, narrow single slope, 20 by 60 feet. $22,000 to $32,000. The narrow width reduces the kit cost compared to a wider building of equivalent square footage. The longhouse's economics start here. Foundation, $11,000 to $1,000 to $16,000. Closed cell spray foam, $12,000 to $18,000. Central masonry heater, soapstone finish, installed at center of floor plan. $5,500 to $9,000. Raised sleeping platform. 12-inch elevation, structural framing, hinged storage access panels, hardwood platform surface, $6,500 to $10,000. Entry vestibule, 8 by 10 foot addition. Interior and exterior doors, bench, hooks, utility sink, $9,000 to $14,000. Flex zone finish, separate entry door, polished concrete floor, utility sink, separate HVAC zone, $8,000 to $13,000. Plumbing, $8,500. Electrical, $7,000 to $10,500. HVAC, 2-zone mini-split plus masonry heater backup, $5,500. Septic, $8,500 to $13,000. Well, $8,500 to $12,000. Windows and doors, $6,500 to $22,000. Contingency, 15%, $18,000 to $27,000. Total realistic build cost, $150,500 to $227,500 fully finished. Mid-cost US market, 2026. For 1,200 square feet, with 5 specific problems solved architecturally, not retrofitted, not added after the fact, built into the building's organizing logic from the first line drawn. Per square foot, approximately 125 to 190, competitive with a standard rectangular barndominium of equivalent square footage, with the masonry heater, the raised platform, the vestibule, and the flex zone already included. The Longhouse principle doesn't cost more. It costs the same, and delivers more of what you actually need from a building you're going to live in for decades. Here's what I find genuinely remarkable about the Viking Longhouse, and why I keep coming back to it when I'm designing for clients who want a building that really works. Every design decision in the Longhouse was made by people who couldn't afford to get it wrong. No second chances, no renovation budget, no retrofit. If the building was acoustically wrong, you lived with the noise for the rest of your life. If the entry was wrong, cold air and mud entered the living space every time someone came home. If the thermal mass was positioned wrong, you were cold in January in Scandinavia, which is a genuinely life-threatening consequence. That's why the Longhouse got it right, not through genius, through consequence, through the relentless feedback of actually living in the thing you built, until every problem was solved and only the solutions remained. In 2026, we don't face life-threatening consequences from bad building decisions. We face financial consequences, comfort consequences, daily friction consequences. The Longhouse principles solve those, for the same reason they solved the life-threatening ones, because they're based on how people actually live, not how architects think they live, not how the housing industry says they should live, how they actually live. Subscribe to Barndominium Haven. Tell me in the comments, which of the 5 problems resonates most with you? Which one are you currently dealing with in your existing home? I want to know, and I'll see you in the next one.